It's time to welcome our leading RE/MAX realtor and an advisor, Audrey Forshey. Ms. Forshey heads Homes Today on Women's Worldview. This morning, her guest of honor is attorney Ramesh Khurana from the Khurana Law Firm. Today, these two professionals are caught on our camera with insights on the much-needed title policy for an owner. Let's take a look.
Hello friends, thank you for joining us today on World of Real Estate. My name is Audrey Forshey and I'm a RE/MAX agent in Maryland. And today, again, I have my friend, attorney Ramesh Khurana, who is going to help us talk about the legal parts of owning real estate. We've talked about deeds in the past, and today we're going to talk about title and title insurance and why it's important for us to for you to have it as a consumer and to protect you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. Mr. Khurana is an attorney in Maryland, and he practices in Maryland and in DC, and he's always so nice to donate his time to answer your questions for you. So before we get started, I kind of want to talk about what is title insurance? What is the policy that you buy? You call it examining the title of the property. So what is involved in that? What is it that you all do?
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you for the nice introduction. And it's always my pleasure to come here and answer your questions. You are 100% right when you comment that your client has paid a lot of money to the settlement company or settlement lawyer to conduct the title search, and it is part of his duty to examine that title issues are resolved completely, and then why your client has to buy the owner title policy. Of course, you want me to explain what is the title insurance policy. Let me do that first part. When we are talking about a title insurance policy, now this is of two types. One is the loan policy, or called the lender's policy. And main issue which probably you are facing is when your client asks you, okay, loan policy I understand, because that is the bank's requirement or the lender's requirement. Then why I have to buy the owner's policy, which is very expensive? Right. And the answer is very simple. Because you are buying a house, this is the most expensive asset of your life. Right. You do not want anything wrong to happen with your home.
Right.
As we have further discussions, we will see that there are various situations whereby the owner's title is really threatened, and there are certain issues which probably you can handle them better if you have an owner title policy. So, of course, the lender's policy that protects the bank. Right. But what about protecting the assets, or you call the down payment or interest of the owner?
And it's a one-time thing that they buy, which protects them for their, like you said, their down payment, all their money that they've put into the property. You want to be protected. The bank is protected because they're never going to defend their right to the ownership of the property, right? And so we want to protect our clients for the remaining value that someone cannot come back and take it away from them. Is that right?
Yeah, you are 100% right. So basically, even though lender is protected, at some point you might have paid off the loan, and then the whole property is yours. You want to protect your home, and as you know that there are certain enhanced policies which some title insurers call them advantage policy, under which certain additional benefits are available.
So what does that mean?
Yeah, that means, there are two types of policies. One is a standard owner policy.
Okay.
Another one is the enhanced owner policy.
Okay.
I give you a very simple example. Let us say you buy a home.
Yes.
And this home is in a new development. And builder built this home and conveyed this property to your client.
Okay.
Now, the builder failed to pay certain contractors.
Okay.
And contractors in turn failed to pay the subcontractors.
Okay.
Now, as per Maryland law, if contractors or subcontractors who have put in labor and other investment on the house, if they don't get paid for the materials and labor, they can basically file the mechanic's lien.
Okay.
So, they can even file the mechanic's lien after the settlement has taken place.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was
So,
before.
your settlement company has done the title search. They have gone back right up to 60 years. They got the full title search report and no mechanic's lien were filed as of the date of settlement.
Okay.
But after that, subcontractor who has not been paid by the builder or the seller, he comes back and files the mechanic's lien. So, your client is stuck now. If your client wants the clean title, then your client probably will have to pay if the builder refuses to pay.
And is that if they don't have the title insurance? Can the title insurance help us if that happens to us?
Yes.
Okay.
That is the advantage of buying an enhanced title insurance
Okay.
policy, because if something gets recorded after the settlement date,
Okay.
then it is covered under the enhanced policy.
Okay.
I give you another beautiful example.
Okay.
Let us say there was a pest in the home. So, you have the pest inspection,
Yes.
right? The seller wrote a check and seller showed the check and the payment was received by the pest company, and you saw that check at the settlement table,
Right.
and you have a pest report, everything is taken care of, everything seems good. But then you hear within a week time, your client tells you, oh, by the way, he received a call from the pest company that seller refuses to make this payment and check has been bounced.
Oh, no.
So, now the pest company can record their lien on the property.
Okay.
This service was provided before the settlement date, but the check has been bounced after the settlement date.
Okay.
So, this kind of situation will be fully covered under the enhanced policy.
Okay.
So, most of the times when you buy the enhanced owner title policy,
Yes.
you pay additional premium. Sometimes it is close to 25%,
Okay.
but it is worth considering.
Okay.
And enhanced policy is available only for the residential property,
Okay.
not for the commercial property.
Okay.
So,
I know that my husband and I own a few properties, rental properties, and we have a second home, and I always get the title insurance on my properties. I always say I'd be a 1 in a millionth person that something would happen to me, but I'm not taking that chance with all of the money that, you know, I spend to purchase the real estate. So I just think it's a one-time fee. You might as well protect yourself as best that you can. That's what I think it's very important.
you know, Audrey, you are 100% right. I can give you hundreds of examples where probably owner policy will come to your rescue. Now, let us say that you want to refinance your property, and when you want to refinance the property, now when you did the settlement, your existing loan at the time of settlement, which belonged to the seller of the property,
Right.
that was paid off.
Right.
But this mortgage has not so far been released.
Oh, okay.
So, your new bank, which is refinancing the property, will not refinance unless that lien is released,
Okay,
right?
right.
So, what do? So, in case you have bought an owner policy, based on the owner policy, now the settlement company will approach its title insurer or the underwriter, and underwriter will give an indemnity to the settlement company.
Oh, okay.
That we indemnify you
I've heard
if
of that.
something happens. So, with the result, your refinancing transaction will close on schedule.
Oh, I've heard of that.
So, it's very helpful in many situations.
Very good.
Very helpful. I remember recently I handled one case. This property was in Washington DC,
Yes.
which was closed in 2004, and it so happened in 2016 when that person was selling the property. Now, it transpired that there were certain DC taxes owed back in 2003, and these were not filed as tax lien at the time the settlement took place in 2004.
Oh.
So now when that lady is selling the property, she goes for the settlement, and before the settlement company is telling her that you owe about $5,600 to the DC Treasurer office.
Yes.
So we referred the case to the title insurer, and they worked on it. They investigated the case, and they realized that it was the problem of the settlement agent, and they decided to take the responsibility of $5,600.
Very good.
And of course, the owner of the property was very thankful.
Yes.
How much money did she spend to buy that policy?
Yes. And
So it really buys you a peace of mind.
Yes.
As you were saying, like you have certain investment properties and you always buy owner's policy. So I also always recommend that it's worth spending money.
And you know, back when I first started selling real estate a long time ago, I can remember being at closings and people signing all the documents. I don't remember everyone showing their driver's license. I mean, I guess they did for the notary purposes, but I guess way back then everybody figured if you're there signing the papers, you were really the person. And you know, you could have a problem if, I remember a story, it didn't happen to me, but it was a man was selling his house and he had been divorced, and his first wife and his second wife had the same name. It was a very common name, and the second wife came in to the closing to sign as the first wife, and they figured it out, and the buyer of that property was protected under the title insurance. So, I mean, those are the kinds of things you want to make sure that no one takes your claim to the property and all that.
You are 100% right, Audrey. This is a very good example you have given, which is the benefit of the title owner policy. I give you another example, which happens in everyday life. Let us say that somebody bought a property from the builder. So, builder is a corporation.
Right.
So, corporation signs off the deed.
Yes.
To the buyer of the property, but the person who signed off the deed, he was not authorized to sign on behalf of the corporation.
Oh.
Right. So, the deed which conveyed the title to the buyer, that was not valid. You know, if that document was not valid, so there was no ownership right. So, what will come to the rescue of this person? Owner title policy.
And you know, I have to tell you that when I speak to buyers today, they think that because this is a brand new house and no one else has owned it before me, they don't need owner's title insurance. They think, what could have possibly happened to the house that I would need title insurance? And these are two great examples that it's very important as a new home that you make sure that you have title insurance to protect you from those sorts of things.
You know, there are always, sorry to interrupt you,
No,
Audrey, there are always certain hidden defects.
Yes.
Which are not uncovered until you realize, oh my God, I am stuck in a situation.
Yes.
Let us say a person who signed the deed, he was mentally incompetent.
Oh.
So we know that a mentally incompetent person cannot make an agreement, cannot enter into a contract.
Right.
So when a person is signing off a deed, this is like signing a contract.
Yes.
So this becomes an invalid document. So this is called a hidden defect. But something happens maybe after 50 years, some years, or that person alive comes back and say, oh, by the way, these are my medical records and I was insane or I was not competent. So this deed is required to be invalidated. So what do? If you have an owner title policy, you are covered. I give you one more example. People get sued all the times.
Yes.
Now sometimes they are sued because of certain liens on the property which actually did not belong to the owners of that particular property.
Okay.
Now maybe nothing will happen, but at the same time we know the saying that everybody has a right to be in the court, right?
Right, yes.
So if that is the case, you end up by spending thousands of dollars in defending yourself.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But if you have bought an owner title policy, title insurer is going to come to your help. They will defend you. They will pay all attorney's fees.
And that's what we need them to do. So again, Mr. Khurana, thank you so much for always donating your time to come and help us and explain things to us and help the consumers and make sure that they make good, educated decisions in terms of their real estate transactions, because it's not just signing the contract and getting the loan. There are more details to owning the real estate than just like I said, signing the contract and the papers. You need to know these things. So I thank you again. It's so nice to always have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.